It's always a pleasure to be able to interact and chop it up and get to know guys like yourself that are doing big things, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, right? Being in that present moment, like, oh, yeah, I have done a whole bunch of shit. But sometimes, sometimes we have to get around peers or like minded people to remind each other that we're all fighting the same fight or traveling the same journey. We just have different roads.
Oh shit.
What's up, handsome?
What's up, dude? Oh man. Let me turn this shit on. Oh, there we go.
How
Get
you
that
doing
one.
today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
It's one of those days.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel it. It's been fucking nonstop, dude. And one of my kids is sick and fucking all the rest of it. It's just, yeah, it's been a nonstop one. And
Are they okay? Are they okay?
oh yeah, they're good. They're just, I don't know. There's something going around. I'm not sure what it is, but
Nasal?
yeah, my oldest was off school for about a week, a couple weeks ago, and now the youngest has got it. So it's all good. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, I just got to take care of them, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's all good, man. Yeah, just cracking on with it. Got a course coming out here, so I'm just building out fucking boring ass slide decks. It's just monotonous. Well, I know you've been in the thick of it with the writing.
Oh,
Just,
oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't need to
It's
talk to you
it's
about monotonous.
monotonous. It's monotonous and it's like not sexy.
Yeah.
However, the impact and effects, like if it's delivered well, is like
Yeah.
the exciting part. But it's such a long for writing, anyways.
Yeah.
You have a book. It's such a long wait for the gratification.
Right.
But
Well, yeah, I mean, I know a little bit. Mine's a little ebook, but even that, dude, for me, it took fucking ages. I didn't know. It's like it's not that long, but like it took me. I was like, I'm just going to do this, and I started like dotting out all the chapters. Then when it came to actually writing it, putting words together, I was like, fuck.
did I ever tell you about what happened the first time I wrote my first book?
No, of
So long story short, right? I write it. I text my mentor. He's got like 12 books.
course.
I was like, I'm done. He's like, yeah? How long is it? And I was like, it's like 77 pages. He's like, what do you think that is? A book? And I was like, well, I was hoping. And he's like, that's like a fucking PDF.
Yeah.
130 pages minimum to be considered an author. And I'm like,
Yeesh.
I'm like, wait, I have to double it?
Dude.
Because you know how long it takes to even get, the
Yeah.
first like manuscript out. So
Because then you're like, well, am I just like filibustering this thing? You know what I mean? Like, am I just is what I'm writing actually going to help someone, or am I just trying to fill pages up? Like that's where I was getting to, and I was only a short little thing. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm good though. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, it's been interesting. The past
Yeah,
mindset on life is 1 hour at a time,
yeah,
1 hour at a time. Like right now, like it's 1 hour at a time, dude. It's interesting. Like my buddy, he just got out of the Navy. He was a SEAL for however many years, and he's in one of my masterminds. And he's always talking to me, and I'm talking to him and shit. There's just mutual respect, right? Like you're a SEAL, respect.
yeah,
He's like, you're my mentor, respect. You know what I mean? It's a good relationship.
yeah,
And we were talking about this topic, and I was like, bro, you know the fucking deal. 1 hour at a time. He's like, yep, make to one meal, get to breakfast, like in military training, get to breakfast. Okay, I have a half hour.
yeah.
Then it's get fucked up, but make it to lunch. And then, okay, I have a half hour. And then you get fucked up until dinner. And then, okay, I have a half hour. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
get to breakfast, get to lunch, get to dinner. So after breakfast, I just got to get to lunch. After
Mm,
lunch, just got to get to dinner. You know what I mean? Just got to
yeah,
make it. Now in the civilian world, we're like in business, we're like, all right, 1 hour at a time.
yeah,
And in life, like whatever life presents you, 1 hour at a time.
yeah. Big time, dude. I've had to start really when I switch off for the day, really having to be like fuck it. Whatever just happened for the day happened. Like, focus on the kids, focus on the wife. Tomorrow, we'll get back to it. It's so hard to do it. Yeah.
I can imagine. I don't even have kids and it's hard for me to do. And
Yeah.
there's no kids around.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good though. Like Tuesday, Thursdays, like today, I take him to jujitsu. So I pick him up from school. We go and grab something to eat real quick, go to jujitsu, then take him to Chipotle and then back. So Tuesday, Thursdays are my favorites.
So training days. So funny story. I was going to going to tell you about this today regardless. A guy I used to train with, a wrestler, like one of those guys, like you train with him and you just can't get the fucking guy off you. You know what I mean? You just
Oh,
can't.
yeah.
I outweigh him by like 50 pounds. Can't get
Doesn't
him off.
matter.
Just can't get him off me. Right. Guy's name's Nick. Super great training partner. Super great training partner. You know, fortunately, when we were on our feet, like striking, you know, things were a lot different. But on the grounds, as a wrestler, dude, didn't matter how strong I was or my technique in jujitsu. It was just, you know. So, anyways, he hit me up the other day. He's like, "Do you have a Breitling Super Ocean?" I haven't spoken to him in 4 years, maybe 5 years since I was training, and he hits me up. And I was like, yeah. So we start talking, but I went back through our message feed and he got a bunch of video from me in competition
Oh,
that
no way.
I had never seen or completely forgotten about.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was at this point in my career where I was dead set on being a world champion. Dead set. Ironically, once I got there, being ranked number one in my class, I looked at my instructor. I was like, I'm not going to Worlds. I already beat all these guys, all of them. And I just like, it was weird. Like I got to that position and I just didn't want to do it anymore. As weird as that sounds, that's not what I wanted to tell you. I was looking at the video and I was like, holy shit. Like I'll send it to you. It's actually pretty good, right? It's like good jujitsu.
I love it.
And yeah. And cause like I think I rolled at like 207 or 210, I think is super heavyweight in IBJJF. And our brackets were like 200 to 215.
Yeah.
So you had to, you know, there's a big space at that level. So I don't know how much you weigh. Do you weigh that much?
Now I'm like 200, but I used to compete at 155. Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So, but you understand, right? So there's like this, there's once you get bigger, there's larger spreads in the weight classes. And he took 2 video of me warming up for the New York Opens at a local Naga. I was like warming up to win the New York Opens, which is what I ended up doing, the absolute. And one of the guys that I was fighting, like, I'll send it to you. It's almost pathetic, like how much I bullied him. It was just so bad, dude. And I was like watching my form, and the form was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyways, like I was watching the form, it was actually really, really good. Well, it was pretty good, right? And I was impressed. I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen myself roll in a long time. And it like made me start thinking, I'm like, should I do it again?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
But here's the thing. I started in 2006. I trained for maybe a year or two, quit. Went back in 2014, trained for a few years, and then quit. And I'm like, I started in like 2006, like, and I've quit twice now. What am I doing? And it's funny. I think about everything in this sense. I quit last time because I was catching so many injuries, like little nagging, problematic injuries.
Yeah.
I've later found out that my sacrum got destroyed. I loved like sweeps with my legs. I loved like triangles.
Yeah.
Arm bars from like the guard, like like from guard, I would work with my legs and I would always, do like body triangles and so on and so forth. So then knowing how many injuries I was catching, I thought to myself, I'm like, all right, at that time, I was like in my early 30s. I'm like, what's my longevity here? Being bigger and rolling, you beat the fuck out of each other. It's not like rolling at 150 pounds where it's fast and quick. The
Yeah.
big guys are fucking strong and it hurts, right? So, as I was sitting there watching myself, I was like, well, I mean, I'm turning 39 in May. Like, what am I going to do? Start rolling? I'm going to want to compete again. I'm going to want to go to Worlds again. I'm going to fucking break something or multiple things. I figured you could understand that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, for me, I would say you should probably do it, I mean, dude, so the majority, I'm 42 now. The majority of my training partners are between like 30 years old to probably my age, mid 40s, probably. Average weight is probably about 200 or so. A lot of guys at 170, and we have a couple of boys at like 265,
Get
300.
the big boys.
Got some big ones. So actually, I've been out all week because I was training with my buddy Walker, one of my really good training partners, but he's 265, 270, tall guy, ex-football player, black belt. And we were wrestling a little bit, and my brain was like, pull guard, pull guard. And my body was like, hey, pull guard, sit down, pull guard. But my but my pride said, you can take him down.
Fucking ego.
so, I, so I went for a double leg to take him down, and I spiked my head on his body, and like he didn't even move, and my neck went. So I've been out all week nursing this, but it's I don't know. I think it'd be good. Honestly, at this age, I almost feel like it'd be even better for you to get back into it because you're more in tune with your body. You're more in tune with like your ego is not going to come into play with a lot of stuff, and if there's a good age group of people that train there, if I didn't have it in my life, dude, I'd be a mess, honestly. Like my wife is always like, you need to go and train because that's how I get it all out. But my back, I've always played guard, same. And if anyone's watching, it's like when you're on your back, and it really taxes the lower back a lot because you're moving your hips and your legs a lot, and you're moving in different positions on the bottom, typically with someone's weight on top of you. So I had to switch up to more play a top game to get on top. So I'll still pull guard, but I'll go for sweeps immediately to get them to get on top and go from there, because otherwise my back is the same way. But yeah, it's funny when you're in it, like you just don't realize. I guess it's like everything, honestly. It's a metaphor for business, for life, for everything. When you're in it, you don't really realize
Yeah, you don't see
how well you're doing,
Yep.
or how good things are going, and then
Or how bad.
or how bad, yeah. But when you get a chance to look back or review something, you're like, oh, hold on, this was good, because I retired from competing. I'm not competing anymore, but like I watched some videos back of like the pro matches, the Fight to Win Pro, and I'm like, damn, that was good. Like I used to smash people. I used to get smashed as well. But anyway, I would say go and check it out. Maybe it's a different gym, maybe it's a different look. Just go in and see if you can have fun with it again.
It's not that I disagree. I know what I'll do. Couple of months, I'll be like, feeling good. I'm fucking choking everybody. I'm fucking everybody up per usual, right? Any sport. Like, I always I'm going to dominate. Like, let alone life, business. Like, and then, they'll be like, all right, so who's competing in the local, Naga? And they're going to be like, Chris. And I'll be like, yup.
Yeah, I'm in 100%.
And or whatever. And then I'll, but see, what I've learned about my body is interesting. The parallel here. I didn't know I had a sacrum issue and if for anyone who's not familiar, your sacrum is basically along the same plane as your pelvis to the rear. Your glute medius primarily covers it. So basically it's your butt, basically, from a very general anatomical description, right? So my biggest love of all sports of my entire life is snowboarding. I've been doing it for over 30 years. And, exercise, like weightlifting, second, I've been doing about 30 years. I think it's like 27 at this point. But I was snowboarding a few years ago. I want to say it was like 2 years ago. I had not been doing jiu-jitsu for about 2 years. My body felt a lot better. My body composition was a little bit not as lean. You know how it is, like, get into fight shape, like
Yeah.
really hard to get into, but really easy to lose, right?
Yeah.
But I'm snowboarding, and, like, after a couple runs, I have like this pain in my ass. And I'm like, what? So I'm stretching, so on and so forth, and then go snowboarding again. And it's like painful. What am I doing wrong here? I ended up getting checked out, and my whole sacrum was shifted.
Mm.
Just like my entire gait of my hips was off. And I didn't realize, like, I'd be walking the dog. I would like drag my feet unknowingly. I'm like, why am I always dragging my feet? And it took me a year of physical therapy myself. I just researched how to do it and physical therapied myself to put my sacrum back. Like, and at this point in my life, I don't want to go through that again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't. What? To feel good and smash people and have fun and like be super duper lean just to catch another long-term injury again? At this point in my career, I know I can't barbell squat. I haven't done it in a decade. I barely bench press. I barely barbell bench press. The only barbell movement I do is deadlift, and it's not even heavy anymore. Like, I know that there's things that my body can't do anymore. And as weird as this might sound, I've been running for the past year.
Oh.
And finally, after a year, it's like getting better. So it's like, I'm at this like weird point in my fitness that I have to like only do what's good for my body and the longevity of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know jujitsu is the worst thing for it, even though it's so fun.
Yeah.
Because I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I just can't. I have like no off button when it comes to competitive stuff.
I hear that. I think it's really interesting when people understand their body. It makes such a huge difference, because some people go through life doing the same routine over and over and over and over, and injuries come and injuries go, and plateaus come, plateau. But like, because I grew up, I was much leaner. Like I said, I competed at 155, so I walked around at like 170.
I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, and I was doing like kettlebells and like plyometrics, and that was like my thing. So I grew up playing soccer. So I was like sprints, right? Sprint.
This was Scotland, right?
Yeah, in Scotland, yeah. So like, you're just used to sprinting all the time, and you're lean because of that. So then once I started like lifting kettlebells and stuff, it was like, okay, this kind of coincides with how my body likes to work, and it's like endurance based and different things. So when that added on with jiu-jitsu, that was great. Now, like, I lift heavy. I only started lifting properly, like the kind of like bodybuilder style lifting. I'd never done it before until 40 years old. And when I turned 40, I was just listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that about like how, muscle mass, like, and bone density and stuff, like, when you get into your 40s, like, this is super important.
Yeah.
So I started lifting, and immediately like put on like 20 pounds of muscle. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize my frame was so lean that I was actually like missing out on all this like mass. I'm not a big guy, but like, it's pretty crazy how when you switch routines, your body can just shift, It's very, very interesting for me.
Yeah, dude. When I started running again, let's back up. I've been resistance training for almost 3 decades. So at this point, my body has put on plenty of mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not a bodybuilder. Not anymore. I used to compete in the fitness industry, but like the mass is there. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't wanted to get any bigger in probably about a decade, honestly. But the point that I'm getting at is I have thick legs, like very built legs. And when I started running again, initially it was not easy. It was very, very hard for a 205, 210 pound man to run. Like, it's not like, that's called thick boy status. Like, it's not easy on the joints, but you know what happened? First couple of months, dude, my legs just changed. Like my legs went from like big, thick, well-built legs to shredded, not as big legs, And it's kind of weird how quick the body will adapt too,
Yeah.
But the interesting part about it is your body did that, put on the mass, my body dropped the mass, right?
Yeah.
Because we have different body types.
Yeah. Big time. That's it. What about chafing? Did you get maximum chafe when you started running with those big legs?
But believe it or not, dude, no,
Really?
no. I wear these Lulu shorts.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't really like the liner. It's kind of constricting for everything, ass, package, everything. But let me tell you something, man. To run in them, no chafe.
Yeah. Yeah. Big time. I got these I've been wearing these shorts. Oh, I can't remember the company. It's an American company now. But they're like short shorts, They're like now I
Like
can't remember.
silkies.
Yeah, and they are so comfortable to work out in, and I can move everywhere. I'm super flexible. I can go where. But my wife is like, "What? What are you wearing?" I'm like, "Listen, don't worry about it." But I mean, they're like short shorts, but they have the inner lining, and
Mm-hmm.
I can run in them, I can sprint in them, I can lift in them. The best thing ever. I wish I could remember the company now. Combat Apparel or something like that.
Yeah.
I think they're an American company, but they're good, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're good.
Yeah, before we move off the whole fitness thing, you and I kind of talked about this one, the last time we spoke, but the biggest game changer to anybody's fitness routine, to their life, to business, to anything is their sleep, right? And, no matter what style of training I train, no matter what I'm doing, if my sleep's not in check, my performance is atrocious. And in fitness, but also in life and business, which a lot of people think, oh, I only need 3 to 4 hours of sleep. No, no, no. You've conditioned your body to allow you to only sleep that much. You have no idea how much you're leaving on the table in every aspect of life, right? You know this. You studied this. You went down the rabbit hole. I studied this. I went down the rabbit hole. And now, dude, non negotiable. I don't go out to dinner on the weekdays. It's very seldom on the weekends, unless we're going out at 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because
Mm.
I'm winding down by 7 and I'm in bed around 8,
Mm.
7 days a week. You know what I mean? Because I want my sleep.
Yeah.
If it's weekdays, I'm up at 4. On the weekends, maybe I sleep until 5, sometimes 6. I'll take 10 hours of sleep if I can get it, because my performance is so much better.
Yeah, it's funny. After we talked about this, we both listened to that podcast, Red. But I mean, you got down the rabbit hole more than I did. But I was like, okay, I'm going to track this. So I actually ended up buying a Whoop strap, and I was like, I'm going to start tracking this and actually get the data of what's going on with me. And it's been really interesting. So I've even since last time we talked, I've kind of switched out. I had my morning routine that was like dialed in. I was up at
Yeah, you switched it all around, right?
Switched it
Yeah.
because I'm like, okay, I can't facilitate enough sleep. By the time my kids go to bed, we get them to bed. Mackenzie and I now, like, we have to spend at least an hour together before we go to sleep, right? Just for our marriage, like, we need to connect after the kids go to bed. So by the time we're in bed now, going to sleep is like 10. And I kept my routine going, and my Whoop was like, hey dude, you're not recovered. Like, you're not recovered. You're not. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And I was like, I can't go to bed earlier because, family obligations and connection is super important. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to like get rid of my morning routine for a couple of weeks and see how this goes. I'll just wake up at 7 a.m. when the kids wake up, when Mackenzie wakes up, and I'll just wake up with everyone and see what happens. And my recovery went zoom, and my like sleep patterns went rum. Everything went up. And I was like, ooh, okay, I'm going to have to change a few things right now, because like I could feel it as well. And I could feel that I was sleeping better. And there was certain things that I was doing at nighttime that were helping me. I got a sleep mask. I started taking magnesium. There's a couple of things I really started trying to get more sleep and recovery in. So now I'm in a phase where I've got my sleep pattern dialed in, but now I have to figure out where to place other things throughout my day, which I used to get done in the morning. So I'm in this kind of flux right now of figuring that out. It's a good place to be, because I agree that sleep for me personally right now in this moment in time, it's more important for me than a morning routine is getting sleep. So I'm prioritizing that. But now I'm just like, okay, am I missing out on anything in the mornings that I used to have? Like, is my day not driving the way I want it to drive? Am I not as focused as I want to be? As of yet, in testing this, it's not had a giant impact on me. And I used to be like a routine guy, like morning routine, A, B, C, D, get it going. You have to do this to have a productive day. And I'm wondering if I was just telling myself that. I'm wondering if I was like listening to everyone else being like, you need a morning routine. And I was like, I need a morning routine. And maybe just telling myself that narrative, saying that, okay, if you don't do this ABC in the morning, your day's not going to go as productive as you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, maybe that's a frame that I put around myself that was a complete lie. Or not a lie, but maybe, a falsity. Because now that I'm getting this sleep and I get up at the same time as my kids, my day's just as productive as it was.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to see.
Dude, it's interesting. The position that you're in is the constant evolution of a high or hyper performer. It's constantly trying to weigh out what is optimal, what is best, where do I adjust, where do I pull back from, what is best, right? And it's funny that you say that because I did something similar last year. I was like, do I really have to get up at 4:00 in the morning every day? Like, does this really have to happen? So I set it to 5 and I'm like, all right, like I'm okay. Like I'm good. Right. So on and so forth. And then I set it to 6. But once I got to 6, I was like, terrible. I just, it wasn't working. You know what I mean? I just couldn't figure out how to place everything and accomplish it all. So, but that was the first time I tried that in like a decade. You know what I mean? So I've now gone back to 4, but you know what I've done, which is what you've done? I've cut my morning routine back from 90 minutes to 2 hours to like 20 to 30 minutes. And it's like the answer that I was looking for.
Interesting.
I just have a non-negotiable. Like I have to center myself with gratitude every morning for my mindset. For me, that's what I need. So that's my morning routine. That's my non-negotiable is my gratitude for 20 to 30 minutes. Maybe I read a few pages. That's it. And then I'm off to everything else that I have to do, including exercise. But it's the constant evolution of a human that has a growth mindset and trying to understand how to best allocate our energy and time, right?
I think, honestly, what's fascinating about this for me is the tracking part of it, right? Because when you wake up in the morning with the Whoop, it asks you, hey, what happened yesterday? What did you do? Did you do this? Did you eat this? Did you wear a sleep mask? Did you wear blue light glasses? It asks you all these questions, and it kind of can be a little monotonous in the morning, but you get data, and it's like, okay, hey, we've tracked for a month. Here's the data on what's helping you. And, it's interesting how preconceptions that you had, for me, it's like sugar, right? I've all my teeth are sweet and sweets and chocolate and stuff, that's my kryptonite. So I'm super disciplined about not going near it. And, Valentine's Day was there and the kids had chocolates from Mackenzie. And I was like, well, I'll take a couple of chocolates, So I had a few chocolate and I was like, oh, I can't believe I did that. This is going to throw me off. And after tracking it, the next day, it's like, did you eat sugar? And I was like, yeah, I did eat sugar. And it came back and it said, oh, you actually slept better last night. And I was like, what? How is this? And I don't think that sugar helps me sleep, but I think
not directly.
No, but I think the point for me was like, hey, stop being so disciplined about everything. Right.
You're not a machine.
You're not a machine. Give yourself some grace and just allow yourself to enjoy the things in life. It was Valentine's night. We were hanging out as a family. There was chocolates, it's like, I think discipline is one of the best things you can build. But I also think that if it's your only thing, I think you miss out on some of life, So it's interesting. I've had a lot of revelations just wearing this little strap thing. It's been very, very interesting for me to see patterns of behaviors and what I thought was important and what I thought wasn't important and the things it's telling me. So it's really cool.
It's teaching you to a degree of points of view that you maybe thought differently.
Yeah. Big time. It's definitely given me some revelations. So I'm enjoying it, man. I'm probably going to have, I had one of these a few years ago and I just wore it for the fitness part of it. But now I'm really actually looking into the data and I'm like, oh, this is really interesting. So I think as someone at my age of 42, I would say I'm still in my prime, but my body doesn't bounce back as quick as it used to.
You are definitely still in your prime. For sure.
I think so. So anyway, it's cool, man. I love it. I love wearing this. It's cool.
So yeah, man, fitness is a foundational aspect of a successful life, in my humble opinion.
Mhm.
Speaking of a successful life, it's always a pleasure to be able to interact and chop it up and get to know guys like yourself that are doing big things, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, right? Being in that present moment, like, oh yeah, I have done a whole bunch of shit, or not. But sometimes we have to get around peers or like minded people to remind each other that we're all fighting the same fight or traveling the same journey. We just have different roads. And, your road is super intriguing. I don't even know. And I think the answer is no, but like, dude, are you still selling houses?
No.
Do you sell houses?
No.
I didn't, but you did.
Yeah, I did up until when was the last house I sold? Probably the start of last year, maybe 2023.
So you're done
Done. Yeah, I moved completely into this coaching role.
to teaching.
Yeah, and that was a hard. I don't think it was a hard transition, but it was a slightly overwhelming transition, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a scary transition, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
being transparent. So, but yeah, no, I haven't actually sold a home in probably about a year now, and I certainly don't miss it. That's for sure.
Were you selling homes for a while?
Yeah, I was doing that for about 7 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the fitness industry before that, and before that, I was in the music industry. So when I got into real estate, that was the first time I ever really made real money in my life, and so I was in that for about 7 years. My wife got her license a couple of years ago, so we still have our production business. She just does the homes, the actual physical production sales. But yeah, no, 7 years I was in that for, and I loved it. Because I love, and it's just the most cliched thing to say in real estate, but I do love helping people,
Yeah. No,
and
I don't think it's cliche.
but it's just like you talk to realtors and they're like, I'm just in it to help people. And, maybe that's just a jaded point of view that a lot of people say or do now. But yeah, it was great. And it was one of those ones where I got into it because Mackenzie and I bought our first home, and the agent that we used was recommended to us. And there was just it just didn't seem like he had our best interests at heart. And it was just a number for him in a sale. I was like, I don't like that at all. I did not like being treated like that. Yeah, whether he knew or not that he was doing that, I actually don't even know if he was consciously aware that he wasn't actually, doing his duties of actually looking after our best interests.
Yeah.
So anyway, after that, Mackenzie was like, dude, you should do that. Like, you know how to communicate with people and talk to people and like actually be there for them. She's like, just do that. I was like, okay. And that was how we ended up getting into it. So it was a pretty seamless transition, honestly, to get into real estate. And sales, if you can communicate, you can sell,
Yeah.
and so yeah, about 7 years in the actual production side of business here in Denver. So yeah, it was good.
That's interesting that you say that it was overwhelming transitioning out of real estate into coaching or teaching, whatever term we want to put on it. Was it overwhelming because of the fear of the unknown, or was it overwhelming because you didn't know how you're going to pay your mortgage, or both?
Yeah, it was two part for me.
Mhm.
Overwhelming fear of income for sure, because for me, and I'm sure you're the same, if I'm going to do something, I need to just do it. I need to cut everything else out, and I just need to go for it. And I'm super, super blessed that my wife pushes me into that as well.
Mhm.
If she knows that I've got something and I can see the vision and I know how to do it, she's like, do it, go for it, 100%, we're behind you. And like that, I mean, it's huge. But so I was like, okay, I've probably got like 9 months of finance here that can sustain our life. And I was like, okay, can I make this happen in 9 months? Can I get our income from this point to zero to back to that point and more in 9 months in a completely different role, completely different side of the business? And I was like, I think I can do it, and so that was the financial part of it. Was for sure, I knew I was on a ticking clock, but I also enjoy that side of things. I enjoy stress. I enjoy my back against a wall. That's when I do my best work. But the biggest part of it, honestly, and the harder part was this, quote unquote, imposter syndrome, this fear of not being able
Mhm.
to execute this fear
Mhm.
of, the frame and the story around who I am, how I grew up, where I grew up, the viewpoint that people would have of me, putting myself out there on social media in a coaching role.
Mhm.
Would people be laughing at me behind my back? All this kind of stuff that, we talk about a lot in Arity and in different places like that. But it's like I had that massive feeling of stress and anxiety and overwhelm of like transitioning from like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm the realtor who can help you do this to, hey, I can help you execute what you want to do. So that was probably the hardest part for me. And, quite frank, I still deal with it now and then, not as much, thankfully, but definitely, because when you move into a coaching role, like when you think about a coach, you're like, okay, this person has all the answers. So my thing was like, okay, well, what if I don't have the answers? What if I don't know how to help someone if they come to me? Then that's that. So I had that. All those things were going around for me. This questioning myself the whole time. So it's challenging.
Isn't it wild? I know. I mean, I know the feeling, right? Like,
Yeah, well, I know you do.
isn't it wild? Like,
Yeah. But I mean, I think honestly, I think what helped me through that was people like yourself, people like Mike, listening to Andy, listening to Ed. They were like, "Oh, we go through the same thing." I'm like, you go through the same thing at your stage, at where you are in your
yeah.
business." I'm like, okay, well, I guess that makes me feel a little bit better, you know.
Yeah.
But it's I've always been, and I tell people I'm a recovering people pleaser. So I've always wanted people to like me and
Hmm.
accept me and have no questions asked, just be like, he's cool. Like, so to put myself in a position where it's almost like I have to draw a line in the sand of like, hey, if I'm a coach, here's the level that I have to live up to. And
Hmm.
here's what I expect of the people I work with.
Hmm.
To draw that line from not having any line at all, I think that was probably a challenging part for me to step into.
Hmm. Yeah. And I can completely relate on, I'm pretty sure every level there. So, like,
Yeah.
but you actually did it better than I did. I do talk about this too. I've been talking about it more because it helps, right? The vulnerability helps. I had on my goal list. This is before I did milestones. In 2017 and 2018, I failed the goal of opening my consulting company. 2018 and 2019, most likely,
Right.
because once 2020 hit and I failed it 2 years in a row, I was like, this is the first thing I'm doing in 2020. So I let that fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown hold me back for years. And keep in mind, like, 2018, 2019, I was doing really well. I
Yeah.
already had a couple businesses. I already had a big staff. Like, I was doing well. I was around the 10-year mark, like, in business. So,
Yeah.
like, but I still let it psych me out. So it's powerful. Fear is a powerful one. So
Yeah.
I respect that and I understand it. And now you're doing it and you're doing it big. Now, one of my buddies, Patrick Robertson, he's in your Atlas, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Atlas is how you say it, right?
Yeah. Atlas Alliance. Yeah.
Atlas Alliance. And are you a part of Wolfpack?
Yeah. 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 So I'm in there with Mike. Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
you have two separate coaching companies. Is that the right way of saying it?
Yeah, so the Wolfpack part is like coaching for agents who join us at our brokerage. So like are working directly with us inside our brokerage at EXP. And Atlas Alliance is so what happened was Mike Sherrard and I were looking at like the opportunities and the coaching and all the value that we're providing for the agents that were working with us at Wolfpack. And the problem was the only people who could get access to that coaching, the help, the guidance were people who decided to shift brokerages and come over with us, which is a massive decision if you're a realtor. It's like, it's not just like, okay, I'll come over. It's a big decision. It's where you hang your license. It's where you do all your things. So we were like, okay, why are we not making this, accessible for everyone in the industry? Why are we pigeonholing just this little piece here, like, and having this kind of, I mean, in the real estate industry, there's like brokerage, I'm here, I'm there, I'm at Keller, I'm at EXP, I'm at Compass, it's like this becomes this identity politics thing is super weird. So we're like, let's create a brokerage agnostic platform where anyone can join. Come in, we'll put all our training programs and efforts in there, and we can build a community inside of real estate that hasn't been done before. And that's now we launched that in September. So now we're almost, close to 6 months into it now. So it's really, really cool.
So you guys, you got, and from what I see, there's a large amount of people on your calls. There's what, a few hundred?
About, yeah. So in Atlas, we Mike and I were planning this for a year, and I think that's one of the lessons that I learned is like if we're going to do it right, the planning part of it. We were like, we should just launch it, and we were like, hold on, let's take a step back, and we took a lot of time to really prepare and do it properly. So when we launched it, we did an event for the weekend, and then opened up enrollment from Friday to Sunday, and we ended up with like close to 400 people join in that first like few days, and it was like, oh, like we were expecting 50, maybe 100, and we were like, oh, okay. And then the next enrollment opened up in January there, and now we're up to about 700 or so.
Jesus.
I know. So it kind of took us both by surprise, of kind of being honest. And honestly, we talk about it a lot, Mike and I. It's like we still at that point had this fear, like, does anyone care? Like, is this going to work?
Yeah.
And we had that right up until launch. And then it was almost like a delayed gratification. It's like, oh my gosh, we put in a year into this, and it worked, and it was like, at the same time, it was both like super fulfilling and so much gratitude for it working. But then on the other side, it was like, oh, we've got a lot of work to do. We need to dial in our fulfillment. We need to make sure everything's completely, going at like clockwork. So, but yeah, so it's great, man. Yeah, we got about 700 members in there. Usually on our calls, about 350 to 400 show up live on calls, cameras on. There's non-negotiables. You have to have your camera on. You're engaged. It's dialed in. The chat's there. We have a couple of new coaches that joined us for coaching staff, and it's awesome, dude. It's just kind of, it's taken a life of its own, and it's really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. I know how it is, right? Like to like be like, is anyone actually going to care about this? And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, wait, what? What just happened? Now you guys are doing it on a very big scale very quickly too, which is a testament to, who you two are and the product that you have, in this case your experience and your knowledge. So that's super awesome to see. And having Wolfpack and Atlas in your repertoire is incredible, and myself having two coaching platforms, I know how much goes into planning and teaching and curriculum and back end and regulation and front end, and it's but the cool part is when people start winning, right? And they like hit you up and they're like, hey, I did what you've been telling us to do, and like this is happening, and you're like, oh, it's working. Because let's be honest, we all doubt ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Even if we know the answer and how to do it, like we're still going to doubt ourselves to a degree. So when that time happens, it's not, oh yeah, well, I told you so. It's fuck, good for you. But you're not saying it, but on the inside, you're like, shit, we did it.
Yeah. Dude, that's so real, man. That's so real. We have our community. The platform we use is Circle. So we have the online community, which actually, I just got this in the mail from Circle saying, hey, your community is thriving as one of the top communities on our platform. Wow. So, which is cool. So, but it's very interactive in there, but we have a section in there called Share Your Wins. And people just go in and start sharing their wins. This happened, this happened, this happened. I go in there every day and I'm like, this is bonkers. Like, this is nuts. And it's like, again, sometimes when you doubt yourself, you just don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen, Yeah. And when it's like, when someone reaches out to me and says, dude, I took the time management stuff you were talking about and switched it all up. And now like my wife has recognized that I'm spending more time with her and the kids and my business is still built. Dude, like that, like I could quit, like I'm like, cool, like I'm done, like if that's, it's so, I just never thought I would be in a place like this, you know what I mean? Where like I'm actually doing things to help people in a real way. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to kind of take in. Quite honestly, it's kind of overwhelming,
Yeah.
because I feel like a real sense of joy from it, but I also feel like a real burden of responsibility that,
Yeah.
okay, well, if this did happen and truly did change this person's life or business, well, there has to be more people out there who
Hmm.
have to hear it as well.
Hmm.
And if I don't share that, and if I don't keep going and keep pushing, then I'm going to have to answer for that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I do feel that like a double-edged sword of complete joy and gratitude, but with a huge sense of overwhelming responsibility. So it's a wild ride. That's for sure, man. It's a wild ride.
Yeah, dude, I know. And I respect what you're doing. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys are doing something pretty big later in the year.
Yeah. So because, why not just add more to your plate, Like
Yeah.
the problem is with Mike and I is that we're both dreamers. And when one of us has an idea, the other one typically doesn't say, well, let's pump the brakes and let's kind of jam a little bit. It's like, cool, yeah, let's do it 100%. So we were like, well, we should do a live event. And we're like, yeah, let's do a live event. We're like, okay, well, should we get do a small room or what should we do? And we're like, no, we're not going to do a small room. So we've booked in September in Nashville. We've got a big arena that we booked out. We're doing a whole weekend of like events and like VIP dinners and all this different stuff. Details are coming out soon, so I may as well just let you know. But we, we were like, who should speak? And we should get some realtors to speak. And we are like, nah, dude, let's spend money. So we got Ed Milet. He's speaking at it. We've got Andy Elliott is speaking at it.
Wow.
We've got Jen Gottlieb, and we've got we've got a bunch of hitters coming to speak at this like first event that we're ever putting on, and we didn't have a clue. We didn't know what we're doing. We're just like, this needs to happen, so let's make it happen. And so that's going on now. So it is a wild, wild ride. But it's going to be sweet, dude.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. It's just one of those things. Again, like I think for me, I think the big lesson I've learned is that having a partner like Mike, where we just push each other, and there's never an idea that doesn't get explored, and there's never an idea that's like, well, let's get to that later. It's always like, that sounds good to me. Like, let's do it. Let's put it in play. Let's figure out how to make that work. And I think that's why this has kind of become what it's become, is because we just like to go with it. And if something doesn't work, then whatever, man. Learn from it and push on. But yeah, so this is it's going to be a crazy year for sure, dude.
Good for you guys, man. Fucking growth fast, which is, I expect nothing less from you and Mike, honestly.
Yeah.
Like if you guys did it slower, I would understand. But, you guys both do it big. So,
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's just the way it has to be, for us. It's just what it is. We just dream too big. And it's like, I think what we've realized is that if we hadn't have pushed each other, if we hadn't have chased dreams, if we would have said no to certain opportunities or certain ideas, we wouldn't have got to where we are now. So why on earth would we stop that kind of attitude,
yeah.
So let's just go. So we've got, the last thing on Atlas is, in the coaching world, it's a low ticket item, right? It's like $149 a month. So after the live event, we're going to open up a high ticket, more private group as well, and we're going to kind of expand on that and open up a different kind of streams with Atlas within there, coaching opportunities, all these different things. So there's a lot in the pipeline that I think is going to be super, super cool, and I think it's really going to, honestly, and I'll put this out there, but I do think it's going to end up changing a lot of the industry that
Good.
Mike and I work in. So.
Yes.
And yeah, it's exciting. It's crazy to be a part of, but it's awesome, man.
I hope that it helps the industry. I don't know much about it, but I know that I've worked with some pretty interesting real estate agents. That's for sure. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just to kind of put it into perspective. I'm looking to develop 500 acres,
Yeah.
and I've spoken to some real estate agents, and it that are in the area that I'm looking to develop, and I am amazed at how much they don't see or care about an opportunity.
Yep.
Like, I'm putting this in your lap. This is monstrous.
Yeah.
Oh, I sell second homes and condos. This isn't my cup of tea. Okay, well, you want to like hear more? Well, I'll think about who I can connect you to. Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. Like, for instance, if someone came to me and said, "Chris, I want a 6270 Daytona. There's 5 built. I want one." I'd be like, I sell like Submariners and Audemars, which are like 15 or whatever, say 12,000 and 30,000, but I'll refer you over to someone to that $7 million Daytona.
Yeah.
It's like literally the same thing. If someone came, I'd be like, okay, what do you want? Okay, we're going to figure this out. All right, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Bang, 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 figure it out until it either works or it doesn't. But like, and I'm not talking down about real estate agents. I'm just surprised. I haven't really dealt with an agent in like 4 or 5 years, but now that I'm dealing with them again, I'm like,
It's tough. There's a very short-term mindset in there of, okay, I sell houses. A house closes in 30 days. I get paid in 30 days.
right.
So a development like this, where it's a delayed gratification play, it's a long-term play. A lot of people just don't have the vision to see what that looks like. And it's hard, it's hard. And especially right now, a lot of people are looking at this climate and this market and this financial place that we're at right now and thinking to themselves, okay, I just need the quick hits.
Mm-hmm.
So something like this, they're like, okay, how much time do I need to sink into this? Oh, this is going to be overwhelming. I can't do this right now. So in some
Yeah.
ways I get it, but
Yeah.
at the same time though, I think you'll find the right person who'll
Sure.
be like, yep, let's do it, But it's a lot of people just can't see opportunities, and it's kind of frustrating.
Well, it's a poor money mindset is what it is, right?
Mhm.
Fundamentally,
Yeah.
it's a broke money mindset, which is common no matter what the job title. It's a very middle class mindset, if we're going to be blatantly honest. It's a socioeconomic status mindset is really
Mhm.
what it comes down to. How do I know? Because I was born that way, and I had to
Mhm.
unlearn it by understanding that that's not how I want to live.
Yep.
And anyways, long story short, I actually texted Patrick Robertson, he's in Atlas. And I was like, dude, because he's on my board of directors for that company. And
Right.
yeah, and I said, dude, you know what we need? We need a veteran real estate agent in that area. And he's like, oh my God, that's a great idea. We need to go find that. I'm like, Patrick, find it. Find it.
Yeah.
Find that person for me. No, I completely understand. Like, I understand the mindset. It's still a little amazing to see, considering price points for real estate agents are typically multiple six figures on average.
Yeah.
Like, we'll just say that I'm surprised.
Yeah, dude. Listen. I'm not surprised being in this industry, but I can see. I mean, it's like anything. If I came to you for that watch and you were like, that's not my thing, I'd be like, but you know how much that watch is
Yeah.
worth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're not going to put any time into researching this or looking at it or even trying to find like a referral or something like that. Like it would be very strange for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you know what? That's why you guys are in your industry. That's why you're doing what you're doing and you're doing it. So kudos to you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Well, hopefully the goal is to disrupt it a little bit, is to change things up and try and really help people find passion again over anything else. Honestly, people are just, I don't know if you feel it, man, but I don't know. The common theme right now I'm seeing from everyone, even at the school pickup and everything like that, is just like this, all this different stuff. I mean, this is a whole nother 2-hour podcast. We could talk about this stuff.
I mean, we could open that can of worms if you want.
Oh,
I know you have your family time coming up and so on and so forth. But
yeah,
yeah,
but we can definitely open that on another one for sure. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
there's a whole other underlying context there, I think, but it's definitely affecting the real estate as well. That's for sure.
So I think it's affecting the global economy. So let's
Yeah.
say a real estate agent's listening and they're like, man, you know what? I want to learn how to be freaking awesome. Let's just say that person's listening, and it's real estate specific is what you're teaching. Where are they going to find you and your Atlas? Where are they going to go? Where can we find you?
Yeah, you can go to atlasalliance.com. That's going to give you, every quarter we do a virtual event. So there is a wait list to get into that event, but you can sign up there. But if you want, if someone wants more, like, hey, I just want to learn more about anything, myself, you can find all my stuff on YouTube, Instagram, just at Lewi Gault. and then my partner Mike at Mike Sherrard, and then you can just check us out from there. But yeah, if anything, just reach out, DM me, comment on YouTube, go to Atlas Alliance, and you'll be added to the waitlist for the next virtual event. Jump in there, and all that information will be coming out really, really soon as well. So yeah, just hit me up. Anyone that feels like you want to have a conversation or need more information or anything at all.
And it's fair to say both Lewi and Mike have excellent content that's very well polished and professional, and you're super active, and so is Mike to a degree, right? Like you're reachable. So if people actually want to talk to you, they can.
Yep, for sure. That's what we do. I mean, our whole thing is we're both out of production. So we both just coach, create content, create courses all day, every day. So that's pretty much our whole MO from waking up to going to sleep, is like, how do we help people in these certain areas in our industry? So yeah, always available.
Okay. All right. I think for today, we can say that it was successful. And as always, I do appreciate you and your perspective.
Man, I appreciate you too, dude. Thanks so much for having me. And next time we'll solve the geopolitical landscape on the next call.
The fun stuff. Yeah. Well, for tonight, enjoy your family. Thank you for blessing us with your knowledge and your mindset and your presence. And that being said, we'll catch you next time, dude. Okay.
I appreciate you, brother.
Of course.
All right. You take care, man.